Namo manjo shiriye, Nama so shiriye, Nama o Dhamma shiriye so ha. Namo manjo shiriye, Nama so shiriye, Nama o Dhamma shiriye so ha. Namo manjo shiriye, Nama so shiriye, Nama o Dhamma shiriye so ha. Chidang Jogi Chuna Lai Chanchu Vadu Nandi Gyabsu Chi Dagi Chunyi Gibe Chunangi Rola Benje Sangye Chupa Shu Chidang Jogi Chuna Lai Chanchu Vadu Nandi Gyabsu Chi Dagi Chunyi Gibe Chunangi Rola Benje Sangye Chupa Shu Chidang Jogi Chuna Lai Chanchu Vadu Nandi Gyabsu Chi Dagi Chunyi Gibe Chunangi Rola Benje Sangye Chupa Shu Ege Juji Me Toja Mirali Shini De Kembadi Sangye Shindo Mi De Uvayi Roge Nanda Shina Chupa Shu Ida Guru Rana Mandala Kandiya Daya
Dharma dunga jinda isinje tera thang jita ge chinde imano shi cutting chinde jada mama ji ba chija ma ma shi ba thang ji jada jinje je man na dewan de mando lo ji de dunga ba hi no de de ka pi ji jam jinje je man na de ji pise che ba de na chinde dem ba chi chi dem ba ta ba ida shi ni ba ma lo shi ni ba se it's chanda.
All sentient beings have been our mothers. And all sentient beings have been our mothers not just once, for numberless times. They are as kind as the mothers of this life. Even though all kind mothers sentient beings want happiness and do not want sufferings even for a moment, however, due to engaging wrongly in the objects of abandonment and adoptions, they create karma that bring forth the result of suffering only. In our mind, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mothers sentient beings, thinking, how nice if all kind mothers sentient beings had excellent happiness. May all kind mothers sentient beings have excellent happiness. I will cause all kind mothers sentient beings to have excellent happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
But there is a dunga jinda isinje tera thang ji go san ji gi shawa du bala na ji bicho tha da da na chama jawa ji ji jawa da bi sha ida shi ni ba la ma la isinje na do so is ni ji.
Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mothers sentient beings, thinking, how nice if 3 doors of all suffering mothers sentient beings were free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. May 3 doors of all suffering mothers sentient beings be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. I will cause 3 doors of all suffering mothers sentient beings to be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
But there is a contingent mandana, for the Nesi Dunga doing this, and the Bogu Yara la Pota, Tatina, as the Hantava, the Sanji companion to Nibane, but still as a Hantava to the Sanji Lavakino, listen to 20 to the Sanji companion to the shower with Changi several.
Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. I should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. However, I do not have the ability to do so now. Who have the ability? Those who have achieved the perfect, complete enlightened Buddha, enlightenment, have the ability to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, may I become Buddha.
第一就是甚至团体就是甚至是恐怕到小，那个社会做法定，让给那个第一就是我是这个能把进头去，绝大阶段已经没这个东方的，让个社会这个相当的全球性，让给那个第一就是第一这个，尤其搞个这样的能把进头去，咱都是那个情况，常见的就是甚至。
Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind, all-encompassing yoga. So our aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all sentient beings, may I become Buddha. These transform into a white mundis at one's heart. Next, our ultimate bodhicitta, that is one's mind becoming in one taste with emptiness. There is all phenomena are lacking of inherent existence. These transform into a white five-pronged vajra on top of the mundis. Next, we meditate on emptiness, that I exist neither intrinsically one with, nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I do not exist intrinsically. Next is to cultivate. Next is to conjoin this session with the practice of 6 perfections. The first one is the practice of generosity. And generosity is the mind of giving. It's mainly about the mind of giving. And if we generate the mind of giving well, then we will be able to conjoin this session with the practice of generosity. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, whatever roots of virtue I accumulate, I give it to sentient beings. Next is the practice of morality. And morality is the mind of abandoning physical and verbal misdeeds. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will abandon my physical and verbal misdeeds so that they do not manifest. Next is the practice of patience. And patience is an undisturbed mind or an unshakable mind. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, whatever physical or mental hardships that occur, I will be patient with it. I will willingly accept it.
안다 내사 무슨 지야데 신신지기 체 신신지기 체도 그때 내사 무슨 지바라 가와 또와 지 그래서 전주쇼의 가와다 또와 지와 또 있으면 지와 오 들이 신신지기 체도 내사 무슨 시바텔라 가와 또와 지부 중바이나 전주 파신 나는 있으면
Next is the practice of joyous effort. And joyous effort is an enthusiastic mind for virtue. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will take delight in virtue for the welfare of sentient beings.
다 대지스 맞아 상대지 파신 안에 샤와스 가지고 상대지 파신서 와서 맞아 세계의 뭐 거루지나 찌지도 님이 이 생각이 뭐로 상대지 파신서 와서 어다 들이 상황 당원이 당연서 단다 주신이는 내사 고스 집이 가서 세대배 다 내사 고스 집이 가서 취어와 내사 고스 취어와 오 내사 고스 집이 가서 다 세대 이 샤와 많이 예 샤와도 소라 봐 주파티 바까니 그 세대 이 샤와 간디가 될 것 세지도 님 가지고 정말이나 어다 상대지 파신 안에 샤와 세우레스.
Next is the practice of meditative concentration. The meditative concentration is a mind single-pointedly abides on any object of virtue. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will single-pointedly focus my mind on the virtue that is the Dharma itself, the objects that I listen to, contemplate, and meditate, and do not get distracted to any inappropriate object.
다 뒤지서 맞아 두바 셔르지 파신 들어와 다 셔르지 파신서 와서 간다들이 지난 와서 빠비네 보는 체력 넘번 지시 빠비네 보는 체력 넘번 지시 체력 지난 셔르지 보고와 빠비네 보는 체력 넘번 지시 셔르를 해서 지난 다 들으신가 당 안소데 가도 지와 내사 고스 집이 값서 내 간다 내사 고스 지역이 취다 되는서도 되는 버시고 시대야 고 레버지 시고 내사 고스 제나베 산지지 공부 토야 시고 내사 고스 마지 발레로라 네 바이나 내 산지지 공부 토무도 대체발 레버시 마지 와 대체발 야고지 시바이나 그 시르지 바시 나리 쓰고 맞아 란도 지는 야고지 시바이나 그 된다더와 란도 지는 야고지 시바이나 그 시르지 바시 쓴다 당아진 진짜 취를 때 취를 때내 간디지나 때 취를 때 강나 강투지 시트와 이나 이 체로지 바시 쓰고 한다고.
Next is the practice of wisdom, and wisdom is an awareness that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena, the imputed phenomena. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will properly understand the words of the teachings, the meaning of the words, and I will properly understand the objects of abandonment and objects of adoptions properly. So if we do so, then we will be able to conjoin these sessions with the practice of wisdom. Setting motivation. For the sake of all sentient beings, may I become Buddha. For this purpose, I'm going to receive the commentary on holy teaching and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings.
Thank you. 당와서 가시 장주기 세 또 우연히 멤버스 디버스 미래 되는 여러 지시사로 와 가지를 앉아 야는 벌벌레로 와 시초그래 다디 드링아서 대사지만 해야 돼 다 좋은 첨부 지와 전례명아 딩이 뭐지 마다 도스마 이런 생각 좋아 전례명아 딩 아린 거지 다 전주 세계 민노 다 먼저 돼 제시 좀 효과를 소리 용어 되니까 나이 난지기 뭔지 막 티가 되게 들어와 어디 말 이거 쉬어.
So previously we talked about bodhicitta, and we, in terms of nature, there are two. One is aspiring bodhicitta, and the second one is engaging bodhicitta. So we will revisit aspiring bodhicitta and engaging bodhicittas in later times. So up to this point, we have already completed the 7 cause and effect instructions on 7 cause and effect, and today I'm going to start equalizing and exchanging oneself and others, or with others, that is according to Shantideva. So the training based on text by Shantideva has 3 points: contemplating the benefits of exchanging and the faults of not exchanging oneself with others, demonstrating that you can generate this mind if you familiarize yourself with it, and the stages of meditation on how to exchange oneself with others. So when we talk about this exchanging oneself with others, so it's related to the practice, the common practice, or the famous practice that is called Tonglen. So Tonglen is the practice of giving and taking. So in fact, this practice of giving and taking is exchanging oneself with others.
Jena Pio Calis, the Dagi Maji by the Nini Carriers, that the Sachi Kurula Toto shoots up the money. Sachi said the Mazo picture on the gain of Sungre. Sachi said what did the Sachi Kurant Lord say Yapojis, Sutu by in a corner, some of the shoot in the ma, she would Sachi did not know. Todo the Karina, shoot in the Shiabi, Todo Sachi did it, Sachi the Kurang, me Sachi the Tire. Sachi da dilla Mashia did Sachi did not do the day. That Dagi Jebala, Hio, Maji missing, that Dodo didn't.
So the outline is contemplating the benefits of exchanging oneself with others and the faults of not exchanging oneself with others. So even in monastery, so those teachers they explain that if you are able to understand and also keep in mind the outline, then you will be able to understand the content under this outline. So basically, this outline already talks about the main content that it follows. So the benefits of exchanging oneself with others and the faults of not exchanging oneself with others.
The Katukuro Dagi Jena Pio, Majibi Nimisi Laudi. Tambu the picture Mando Magujino, Katu Kodebo. Daji Jesna, Ran Yawato She Jebanzi. She Roa, Ran Yawato She Jebanzi. Roa, da She Jebanzi, Ran Yawato. Adira, Ran Yawato He Jebanzi. She Yawato Ran Jebanzi. Oh, that didn't gonna. Jim here the Majim Nimiga did not live. Oh, that Ranchi Panzi, she Yawatona, the Dagi Majiba, that didn't need condition, that the patient. Ranchi Panzi, she Yawatobaina, the Ranchi Panzi, they wanted. That Monday do not know so what the deal was. Monday sugar at the total bondage. Marwa, what did it? That Majib Nimi. How much is you?
So just to talk about this outline itself, contemplating the benefits of exchanging oneself with others. So what does it mean by exchanging oneself with others? The benefits of exchanging oneself with others is neglecting oneself and cherishing others. So that is what it means by the benefits of exchanging oneself with others. And the faults of not exchanging oneself with others, it means the faults of cherishing oneself and neglecting others. So what kind of faults follows this not exchanging oneself with others is you will experience different sorts of undesirable sufferings. Even though those sufferings is undesirable, however, it falls on you uncontrollably.
Oh, that daji majibi nimi 들어와. nimi dunga 나서. 다 다지 제비 피해를 가다. 다 다지 제비 피해대 대신 제바 손에. 랑 야와도와 디 또지베 자치지 고바도와 상지지 고바도야. 강가 딜리미스. 좋아. 어디에나 레버 피스소바 강가 대pe 다지 제비. 랑 야와도 신지반지바. 다지 남지 고마. 지네 고마 디기 또지다 상지지 고바도야. 디리 스타일 피해 납치도 이어디 다고 지시라고 들어와 이거만 된다지 지금만 내고와.
And the general explanations about the benefits of exchanging oneself with others, which is cherishing others and neglecting oneself. The benefits that one will receive is achieving the state of arhat, the states of enlightenment, and you will receive all the excellences.
다디마 저다서 마 진주도 로디마 타고 진주도 마 쉬어이로와 간다 진주 용이 된다 되는데 간다 강시다다 희는 미도 접어들고 다 신호기 너무 말이와 아마 가도 도도만 하셔야지 와 다 진주도 치도 된다 가려고 있으나 다 간다 다다 신 동안이야 도안 되비 다다 신이 동안이야 도안 된게지기 그 다기 집을 다기 난지기로도 보고 다기 집로도 보고 해서 다 간다 그러와 다기 집로도 보고 그래서 진주도 된다 되는데 다다 신이가 그 동안이야 도안 누구요나 다다 신이가 동일을 도와가 누구요나 그 다기 집로도 보고 해서 어떻게 보고 해서 되게 많이 거.
So entering the Bodhisattva way says whoever wishes to protect himself and others rapidly should practice the secret instructions. So basically the meaning of this verse means that if whoever wish to free oneself and sentient beings from the sufferings, one has to practice exchanging oneself with others.
다 간다 다다 이 동안 되었으나 시바 코아 시바다 시난데 도와 시방 코아 시 그바 델리아 미도 잡반데 봐서 다 간다 와서 친들레고도와 도와 미도 잡반데 봐서 다다 신이 도와 시바다 시 그바레 미도 잡반데 봐서 저기 다다 이 제자 다다 이 제네 공부했어 다다 이 제네 공부때야 다기난지 공부때야 간다 사이 담아 제바시 농도와 이 다기난지 근데 이 공부라 강가라 가서 무슨 대보진에 등기시야 말해서 내도 모르와 다기난지 등기기 너도 공부라 때 내도 모르라 등기기 다기난지 공도 주바다 등기시야 말해서 상황에서 가르스나 근데 다기난지 로라 맞추바 때는 내려라서 받아 내려라서 받아 그소때 다기난지스나 다 하자 뭐 취약할래 가고 싶으래 좋아 그래서 너도 모르와 그래서 가다 다기난지게 카도 했더니 때마이나 다 하자 갈래 가버래 대마제 장주스 뭐 왕부 뚜보이나 장주스 뭐 왕부 뚜보 들라 다기난지라 하자 즈가 요리스
장주스 뭐 왕부
뚜보 들라 다기난지 별로 뭐 하자 즈가 가고 헷갈리 요리스 들라 좋아 어떻게 소다 다 간다 상이 담아 제바 샤세 다다 힌두지 상이 담아 제바 샤 러브 뮤직 어디 상황진에 그거를 예시게 좋아 어디 뉴도 모르와라 빼 우리 다기난지 로고도 주바 우리 내하고 말했어 좋아 어쩌다 가서 장주 생고 말아 상황 지그레세 디케샤 너 말와 예때 다기난지 미세 너 장와라 아무 다기난지 좀 말아 토만 가서 짠도다 렌데다 치와마다 바다 저 림바지데 피타보 야보 장네 시작진 로그레마도 랑사들이 이때도야 말이로와
喜欢养蝶嘞他先有够了喜欢养蝶是吧
다 시바다 제가 남들한테 루바도 솔베 다 주르고 하는 거로와 상지지 kumba토야라 다도 솔로 말아야 체리야 야 상지 살아야 요건 거야 체리와 요건 거야 체리 그 다이나지 보고 예세고 다이 지고 다이 지고
Yes. So those who wish to protect himself and others rapidly should practice the secret instructions that consist in exchanging oneself with others. So if one wishes to quickly save oneself and others from samsara and from the nirvana state, so why does it why oneself and others have to save? Why one has to save others from the nirvana state? Because if one remain in the nirvana state, then one will one will stay in that state, and prolong the achievement of enlightenment. So if oneself wish to save oneself, and if one wishes to save oneself and others from samsara and the nirvana state, then one has to cultivate or meditate, practice this exchanging oneself with others. So what does it mean by secret instructions here? So here it says secret instructions, right? So secret in terms of it is secret to those who are improper vessels whose mind are incapable of understanding or comprehend this, such as hearers or solitary realizers. So their mind cannot cope with these instructions, therefore is called secret instructions. So similar to those dull faculty, bodhisattvas of dull faculties one, then they will find this practice, exchanging oneself with others, difficult as well. Therefore, it is called secret. So before one practice these secret instructions, then one also has to practice the preliminaries, such as going for refuge, practice karma, or cause and effect, and also practice death and impermanence. And from entering the bodhisattva way, all happiness that exists in the world arises from wanting happiness for others. All suffering that exists in the world arises from wanting one's own happiness. So this verse is very famous, and His Holiness Lama always quote this verse in his teachings. So all happiness that exists in the world arises from wanting happiness for others. So all happiness includes even an amount of happiness that is like has amount of happiness on the tip of the needle. So even that small happiness exists in the world arises from wanting happiness for others. And all sufferings that exist in the world arises from wanting one's own happiness. So arises from the wish, wanting one's own happiness, that refers to self-cherishing. And the following verse is, what need is there to say anymore? The childish work for their own welfare, the sages for the welfare of others. Look at the difference between the two.
또 문제가 통제도 이거였어. 또 문제가 통제하는 게 제가 지지시 되지. 또 두바 이제 대한제 봐 인사. 또 이제 대한제 봐 인다. 또 비슷도 봐 통제 타신 봐. 이거였어. 네, 타신 봐 용어다. 난 이제 제바데 다 랑게 되나 지지시네. 된 제부 가리는 것도 이제 되나 앞에 지지 제바이나 제부 가리는 것도 되니 제바라 때다. 아세요? 간다. 되니 제바. 되니 제바라 때니 페로그 랑니 나스 레로 가르네 디시네 그래서 간다로와 랑니 시네 그래서 되니 제바라 때니 내 이제 대소할 때니 간다. 어디래? 간다 된다 되니 되니 제발 때.
지불라 따와이나 디 케바디 하고
제발 하고 그래서
So what need is there to say more? So doesn't need to say much. Then the childish refer to ordinary beings. So work for their own welfare. So they only cherish their own happiness. And sages for the welfare of others. So they work for the welfare of others. So and bring the welfare of others to completion. So then, if you look at the results of these two, cherishing one's own happiness and bringing the welfare of others to completion or cherishing others, so you will be able to understand the difference between these two by looking at the results of these two brings. So the result of cherishing oneself and the result of cherishing others or bringing the welfare of others to completion. So just by looking at the result of these two then you will be able to understand the difference.
rangi dewa te kari jebusna rangi dewa yue te cheta pe dugya kara pe kali jebudna kali jene pe dunga te pasya la kara kali jebudna kali shuchembo jemgar ta kanda rangi dewa dugya roa rangi pe kinji dewa rangi pe dewa duche ta kali sola thuna pe kali jeba dunga siya te la pa sola thuna pe dunga siya ndi cheta duba te ta pa go doni pa doni 다 hingi chedo oda de rangi dewa hingi dewa dubata dunga sewa la ta chedo bene sola tuno edi doa kali jeba deni jemu jabu eso ta khane doa deni bajia o deni jeba ina de sanji ji kompa de nyodo togore deni majeba ina sanji ji kompa de dinaya totogo mare sewo dinaya totogo mare mato amazen de koana ni de kare koala ranja ni de baina ta dungan ju ma cheba tharo eso
So if one fails to correctly exchange one's own happiness with other suffering, one will not reach Buddhahood or even be happy in secular existence. So if just by thinking about this first, then it brings so much benefits. So if one fails to correctly exchange one's own happiness with others' suffering, so what we are doing right now is we put so much effort in accomplishing one's own happiness, and we put so much effort in eliminating one's own suffering. So whatever you do to accomplish these two purposes, you abandon it and you exchange it with others. Exchange it with others means that you, instead of accomplishing happiness and eliminating suffering for oneself, you do it for others. So you put effort in accomplishing others' happiness, and you put effort in eliminating others' suffering. So if you do so, exchanging one's own happiness with others' suffering, then you will be able to achieve enlightenment quickly. Otherwise, one will not achieve the state of enlightenment. And since you do not achieve the state of enlightenment, and you will stay in secular existence, and when you are in secular existence, you will experience sufferings continuously.
right? What that did a show sometime that the city Madame Duade. Oh, that changing the group back into book, he changing the people 20 years some.
So then Lama Tsongkhapa summarized the meaning of these verses in entering the Bodhisattva way. So by 2 sentences. So just as it is expressed here, think of cherishing yourself as the door to all degenerations and cherishing others as the basis of all excellence.
That group back into was a group as well as that Jungi. Kari in a peso like Jungi Nyamchandra the Malay Pada, Dungi Nanso Pada, that's some of the group ma Gulu or Kanda Susuma, who are Nyamchandra the Kanda, or Nyamchandra, the Mandeva United. You have go down with the charisma that is it. You have got it. You have the group Mandeva Nanso, Dunga Nanso, that song Lega Inanda, Suzuki Ching Lewa Lega Inanda, Kara in a bit. Man Nyamchandra, Ma Gulu, go de Dachin is what. What the Dachin is Tilla, then Kanda, Shibitsa Chimbucheva. Did the Lizio, couldn't you say go there? He said. Did Tachimbuchin and Jisa go now? It goes the Lizio, your Maribupa, Matunga, as mother, paid by your Marisiva.
So the door to all degenerations. So degenerations basically refer to anything, anything that is undesirable, anything that causes you suffer, anything that is not excellent, or anything that is good but decrease. So that the decrease of those good things. So the door to all degenerations is self-cherishing. So if you cherish, if you regard these self-cherishings as precious, what you will receive is the door to all degenerations. So whatever bad things or whatever bad things happen to your business, whatever bad things happen to your housework or work, etc. So it comes from this door, which is self-cherishing.
That changes in the people 20 years, that people 20 go as an antigo. He given the people about 20 years go as an antigo. What that is the group of people. That changes is what the people about 20 years go as an antigo. And that Jan and the word. That changes that you put the Shiraz one, the Sanji Kupatoya, DG business over. Rala Mugusina DG business over the Ranjuji level, changes there. Sanji Kupa to Mugusina, change about the one, Sanji Kupa to. Without the vision, changes.
And cherishing others as the basis of all excellence. So you can also use the word here and apply it here. So cherishing others as the door to all excellences. So you can also understand it in this way, apply it by the meaning. So cherishing others is the door to all excellence, such as the achievements of achieving state of enlightenment and obtaining excellent happiness. So if you practice cherishing others, even though you say that, oh, I don't want those excellence, such as achieving the state of enlightenment or obtaining excellent happiness, they will just come.
That's actually the Dagi Jibada, Majibi Pian and Nimi Simba Sajidua. That did not the Jirbuji Tamade, that is, you put in the good changes in it. It's not punching this. That other Ledua. Oh, dear, Nimi Carredo. That Najipe, something like that. Dagi Jiba in a pure carrier is a 200 Tamaina. Dagi Jena pure carrier. Dagi Majiba in a Nimi carrier is it, 200 Tamaina. That delayed Hakovachua. Ilans Hakovda. Dagi Jena pure carrier, Dagi Jena pure the Sanji Kupa, Dodoshi, Sanji Kupa to the years. Dagi Majin the Nimi carrier, Dagi Majin the Duanas of the police. Lay Dodo near Nini, Dana Sheba, Dodo Jitana Chamberlain.
Yeah, so whatever that we go through, like for example, the quotations in entering the Bodhisattva way and the summary by Lama Tsongkhapa. So this is this linked to the outline, right? Contemplating the benefits of exchanging oneself with others and the faults of not exchanging oneself with others. So by the outline, then you understand the content. So when you go through the content, then you understand well the outline. So in case if anyone asks you, so what is the benefits of exchanging oneself with others? And what is the faults of not exchanging oneself with others? Then you must be able to answer to those questions. So you have to make sure that you understand the benefits and the faults of exchanging and not exchanging oneself with others. So in brief, so the benefits of exchanging oneself with others is one will achieve the state of enlightenment. And the faults of not exchanging oneself with others, in brief, is you will experience different sorts of suffering. That's all.
Oh yeah, that was the such anybody. That's such anybody. Say the corner, Jenny is the embassy. That's say the one. The combat Jewina, combat in the tender, do 2 days ago. New days, combat Jebana, combat Jevanashi, other days ago that did it.
So demonstrating that you can generate this mind if you familiarize yourself with it. So the outline here shows that you will be able to generate this mind, or this mind will come if you habituate yourself with it.
And that Daginaji say the combat Jebina, Daginaji, Gila Chitu, what another de la combat Jebina, Tata Gila Chigris, Comba Majana, Kachi, or Chitu Marwa.
Yeah, so basically this outline shows that you will be able, you can generate this mind, and this mind refers to, you can generate this mind if you familiarize yourself with it. So it refers to exchanging oneself with others.
That is what Rangi Dashiba, Mitenaya, Jipachiwash. Shin Timbashina, then Topon Zawachi. Then Topo chatted. Mena Makawachi, but in the much that Chichilape, who Martina, the same much by the Madiwa the Urias. That indeed you are the Junzeta Carasana, Kola Comba Shibi, Junzeres Pandara, de la Combi Jezishina, the Dali Hida, Hila Dagi the Tower, Omaina, the Combachi, Dagina, the Chigri, SK two, they take Hello, and that. That Amope, so Magasa Chimina, means that you know the Shenochi were to be Yorota, the Shenochi. Kanzatila corporate Topo Shivachani. Topo Shivachani, Topo Hansa Chaudi, Tico Chichila Kalasana court chamber as that. Combochino, but Chiching Rogana, Koyona Sazadish. What the dish is to combo with the Chawa, Kandarwa.
So fear used to arise in you even at hearing your enemy's name, but later on you reconcile and became friends and were very sad if he were absent. So this sometimes happens, right? Sometimes when we hear the names of our enemy, then we become we are scared. And later, then when we become good friends already, then we will feel very sad. Like for example, if we need to go out for lunch or for a meal without him, then you also feel very sad. If you need to go out for exercise and then without him, you also feel very sad. So this shows the results of habituations. So similarly, if due to the power of habituations, you will be able to generate this mind, so which is the mind that generates through exchanging oneself with others.
That the Tandala Jaya de Maso, Dagila Pe, Lo Jia de Tambu Lansa Tadi Hachakale Kabusho. That they combat Jebaina, the Terranaji Chigri is over. Dagi Jiblo, the Chitures, Dagi Jia, Dagi Jiblo. They can't up a Suzuki Jucha Tambo Pe Ancho, where Sanji Pe Tambo Suzu, Josh, which I tape, Coco, the Kawali and Sulu Yuga, the Indication of Sabo Chaniba and Digiwa. That be Hachan Penzanti Topo Pe Chisakamala Katama to again, the Digi Topo Chani. What the need Topo Chowdi, that the need Topo Chow the day for Mawa. Tambo Dash, Jelly and John Montini when there was the Combachini, the Konani Pinch Chila Ichi, Tembo Lene. Yet the Tembo Chile with the Sunda in a Ichi, they said it. Then when the Kalashimo Savana, Koran Yona Sazanaji, Perua, such a chibo in Robaina, a Koran Yona Sazanaji, a delivery. Roa, the Hachan is that it's your Yoina.
Yeah. So it seems like to generate this mind of exchanging oneself with others, or this attitude of exchanging oneself with others, it seems difficult when we look at it. I mean, how could we develop such mind? It seems difficult. However, the meaning, the meaning, this sentence, this paragraph is trying to bring out is, if we will be able to, we can generate this mind if we familiarize ourselves with it. So with this mind of exchanging oneself with others. So just like, how's it that the enemies and the friends, that the example that we, how's it the sentence in this paragraph. So at first, then you how's it, someone is your enemy, right? But later on, then you become a good friend, and then good friend already, and you trust your friend so much. So when you eating nice food, then you think of him, you think of her, and you're thinking that how nice if he or she is here. And similarly, if you go out for exercise, then you also think that how nice if he or she can go with you, etc. So this shows the power of habituations. So if you habituate yourself with these minds of exchanging oneself with others, you can generate this mind. So there is also another very nice verse from the same text, entering the Bodhisattva way. So do not avoid things because they are difficult. By the strength of familiarization, you become sad at the absence of someone whose name was once frightful to hear. Yeah, so then he also says that since mind follows habituations, likewise, mind seeing oneself just like others and others just like oneself will arise if it is habituated. In other words of saying is, you will be able to generate these minds of exchanging oneself with others with habituations or by the power of habituations. So the first line says that do not avoid things because they are difficult. This is very meaningful and is also very applicable to all of us. Then I will always mention about this. Do not avoid things because they are difficult. I will always say this to you. Do not avoid things because they are difficult. So when we sometimes face some difficulties in work or studies, then do not avoid, because by the strength of familiarizations, you will be able to achieve it. So Lama Tsongkhapa quote this verse from Entering the Bodhisattva Way to support the point mentioned here. Yeah, so this first line, do not avoid things because they are difficult. So do not forget this line and always keep it in your mind. I'm not asking you to memorize the whole verse, right? So I'm only asking you to keep this first line in your mind, because and think about it and contemplate it, because we are studying great text, right? So for example, this Lamrim teachings is a great text. So we are very fortunate. Yet we have to remind ourselves or keep this in our mind. Do not avoid things because they are difficult. Yeah, and then also from the same text, then there are two lines. It is not all that hard to perceive my body as belonging to others.
Dali Jason, Shinji leader Dagli, Maris, Marina Della, Rangulo de, Shinji leader, Candid Chevres, Rangulo, Rangli, Manashi Candid Chevres, Roa, those chickens. The Chia the Pe, Kanda, the Kayo Maris, Lindla, Pamikuta, Shinji Lee, Senmas, so Rangi leader, Shinji Yuri, Domination. Shinji Yuri. Garizana, She Pami Kota with Judicial Pe, Dinner, Lyria Mato. Rangi Tamboni Likin, Yoa, Yomano. Or they Pami Kutale, Tuba Diligere, they Pami Kuta to be leader, they change a little church in the Tubare, in a sort of Komba. They pet the Nye Lapa, Nye Gambas, Tendipe Sosuke Komba, Gadina Pe Tamboni Komba, Shuchibu Shuju as that, the Rangi Lipe Chebans in the Komba Wangate, Rangi Lise, Gadina Son of the Leader. When it's a Shebuna change each other. So, Pami Kota Liria Mother, Susula Kenya. Oh, this one. Kawaii Maris, minute, Kaleo Maris, no Kumbana, others, only 2 days, Daji Matrua.
Yeah, so, and it's not all that hard to perceive my body as belonging to others. So, this part is removing qualms, removing doubts. So, because we are talking about exchanging oneself with others, right? So then it's all that is not all that hard to perceive my body as belonging to others. So some might think, some might have this doubt. So since someone else's body is not my own body, how could it be appropriate to generate the same attitude of mind toward it? So so others' body is not my body. So then how do I generate this mind of exchanging oneself with others? So in fact, the body that we claim as my body, as I or as my body, so my body in fact is others' body. My body in fact is others' body or bodies belonging to others. So why do we say that? Is because our body do not exist. Is nothing, right? So however, this body, my body is formed by the semen and blood of my parents. So because of this, so you can see here, so it's created from the semen and blood of my parents. So then due to habituations, then we call this, we call them our limbs, this is my hand, this is my body, this is my legs, etc. Then we claim these bodies as belonging to that belongs to others as my body. So similarly, if you familiarize yourself with these minds of exchanging oneself with others, you can generate it. You can generate this mind.
This also go combat one, this rangi li, is at the libe, Jeba one, a tipe de la combatine, Rangi li sipe, Nashiko Zingora, or the combat mato, a Kali Omari, so combat Jebana Kali Omari, and she Jeban Zimbada, Roa, Jean Yawadwani, or that Denny Pa, Gia, and that Roa, Denny Tenda Gia Sangre. The children also mission that you lead the right leaders, we lead the core leaders, take it as you will.
So likewise, this mind will arise if we familiarize ourselves with cherishing others' bodies as if they were our own. The same text says, entering the bodhisattva way. So the same text says, as you apprehend drops of someone else, blood and semen as yourself, like that, get used to it regarding others. So this also is quoted to support the point here. So we might find it difficult to cherishing others and neglecting oneself. So in other ways, we find it difficult to practice this exchanging oneself with others. In fact, it is not difficult if you familiarize yourself with it, because just like my body. So this body, which I claim as mine, is also arise in dependence on the power of familiarizations. So in fact, this body is formed or created from the semen and blood of others, right, of our parents. However, due to familiarizations, we claim it as I or mine, my body, right? So from through this example, it shows that by the power of familiarizations, we can generate this mind cherishing oneself, cherishing others, and neglecting oneself.
Jirbuchi Matno Jodi, Teda Kona Nini Pion Sansawade, Kanda Dagi Jibuilot, Dagi Kansachi Tambudan Deva Chimuji, Dagi Jiba in a Pio Kare, Majiba in a Nimi Kare, Dilla Santani, the Dagi Jibi, Dagi Jib Lotilla, the Compachia, Gawada Tuach Libres, the Compachina, the Dagi Jibo, the Chitu, and the Dodo.
So Lama Tsongkhapa says, strong enthusiasm for this meditation will arise from the depths of the heart through thorough reflection on the benefits and faults along these lines. If you familiarize yourself with this, you will see that you can generate this attitude. So these explanations link to the first outline that we mentioned today. So contemplating the benefits of exchanging and the faults of not exchanging oneself with others. So it links to the first outline. So if you think about or reflect on the benefits and faults of exchanging and not exchanging oneself with others, then you will develop a strong enthusiasm for this meditation, that is exchanging oneself with others. So you develop strong delight in these meditations. So if you develop strong delight in these meditations and familiarize yourself with this practice, you can generate this mind. So the third outline today is the stages of meditation on how to exchange oneself with others. So it talks about the orders of meditation. So this has 2 points: removing obstacles and the actual way to meditate.
Jesus da yin de she yin da de sha shi sun ban da yin na ngao ne de ti mi de na la so ba da ngao wo ne de lo jang de ves ye to le wa de ve de mi ji ran ji ji da yin ya de lo ni ko sa je wa yes da yin na ran na ji je ban ji ran na yin na ji ya wa do ko bu tu ji da wa.
Yeah. So first one is removing obstacles. What is called exchanging oneself with others and making oneself into the other and making others into oneself doesn't mean training in the mind that thinks the other person is me and his eyes and so forth are my eyes and so forth. Rather, it is to exchange the perspective of the mind that cherishes oneself and the mind that neglects others.
那个大家就说的，现在被我弄的，第一米的那说，那印上的老庄马哇，也马的时候哇，也马哇，但现在被现刚才他的把几个被，我就生气他的把几个一个米的，对，他被那老上的把几呢，这些的把这个被里米那整个印上的，你给下马的哇，你就大家就说你给下马哇，你米的那是可能个这些。第几个给什么的是吧？我是那个米的，那哪怕可能也是，或者老三的给是吧？我在第几个给什么的是吧？我就第几个要么了，然后第三没信我个，那把个怕过吃过年多，在第几个他有嘛的，这是讲的，他也是老的吧？我们说的，你说这个关系。
Yeah, so exchanging oneself with others, it doesn't mean that I am others and others is me. My eye, his eyes is my eyes. It doesn't mean that way. And then another example to show is, I'll say, two different person. So one person is called Lopsang, another person is called Tashi, and then Tashi say that, Lopsang is me. So Tashi says Lopsang is me, or his eye, his ears is my eyes or my ears. So it's not the meaning of exchanging oneself with others. So it's not the meaning of exchanging oneself with others. So I do understand that so due to the advanced technology nowadays, then the modern technology, then you can sort of exchanging or give your organs to someone else, right? Then that is a different saying here. It's not the same as the meaning here. Yeah, so like in these modern days, then because of those technologies, then someone else can donate their what we usually say, that you donate their eyes to a person, right? And then the person at first, then he might think that it's others' eyes. So after you after you familiarize or habituate yourself with that eye, then you will call that donated eye as my eye, right? So this through this kind of example, then you can also understand.
Oh, this that combat in the Ona Kanda Chi to is Taji Lo, the Combat and other Tanda just the Taji Lo the Tanda the La Maria, Saw Pony Yanga Yusichiwa. Tanda the Taji Lo de la Pecale, you would do so that a teacher that they combat in the Chi to race. That and the shame with the Pami Kuta Lidi and the Lansa, someone Lema to Bainaroa. Pami Kuta with the Chitama to change in the Dimisut of Nancy, double jet, so jet. Ready yata kisah batin di lebih mi suatu kata juta de benda di cipet kata shinda jadi papa itu sama suatu sejarah mi suatu dan cewek di jat saya jelas suatu lebih ini sekarang jangan di mato cinci sih di lene boleh mato Shinggris ni patwa kali khabarwa हम दापो माजी वता शिंगरे यू या कले खबरवा पे ससो रंग इंटरनेट पे शरत सा चेंबो चेबरवा था देखा यहां ड्रेस चेंबो शिट तांसा ने यहां देले सा छे लोबरवा.
Yeah, so I say if you cannot, this links to the point that we find this practice of exchanging oneself with others difficult. However, if you habituate ourselves with this practice, then we can generate this mind, or this mind of exchanging oneself with others. So then through the examples that are mentioned in the text, that this body in fact is created from the semen and blood of our parents, then later due to the power of habituations, then we claim this body as my body. So similarly, the example that I mentioned just now, two different persons, then one donate the eye to another person, then then you have to go through the surgeries, right? And you have to spend a lot of monies as well. So then that eye that used to belong to others, then you claim it as my eye, right? And you will no longer claim this eye as the eyes of someone else. You will not have this thought anymore. So after you get used to it, and especially you have spent so much money on the surgeries, then you will even cherish it so much, then you will claim it, or you will call it my eye instead of the eye of others. So this also shows the power of habituations.
디지털 간다 된다 도도도 랑 진지다 나이 지스와데 다 지야데 된다 도도다 랑 진지다 이게 야wan도 로니 고사지야린도와 된다 데로 고사지야 로와 랑 진지다 이게 야wan도 로니 고사지데 신라 하나시 제반지 하나 제다 나시 바 야wan도 로제바 다 로니 고사지야린도와 다 담보디시.
So exchanging oneself with others, it means to exchange the perspective of the mind that cherishes oneself and the mind that neglects others. So it's to change the perspective of the mind.
일레바이나 에로와 다 소소의 대사데 때 우자라고 있는 야부 쉬죠 같이 현대는 뭐지나 야부 쉬다 매바지 로와 다 되니 파지야 랑 대사데 현대데 현대 대사들 랑 대바이나 다데 로데 코스타 제투요 말했으나 이쪽으로도 도와 타고 랑 야와도 해제반지 해제반지랑 야와도 이거 말했어.
So exchanging oneself with others basically is to exchange the perspective of the mind, right? So to exchange cherishing oneself and neglecting others. So to change the perspective of these two. So and now I ask you. So for example, if we enter a house, then there are two chairs. So one chair is very beautiful, very comfortable, and another chair is not in a good conditions anymore. So would you be able to exchange the chair with another person? Exchange this good chair with another chair?
Yeah.
So but also sometimes we go to His Holiness Lama teachings. There are teaching occasions that many people, right? And then they try to chop the seed, especially those good seed. Then would you be? And sometimes they want to get a good seed, and they even fight, right? Yeah. So imagine that you are going to receive holy teachings on exchanging oneself with others, yet you fight with others about the seed. Yeah. So if His Holiness Lama sees it, then it would be laughable, you know. Yeah, so I'm still waiting for the questions I asked just now. Would you be able to exchange your good chair with the chair not in the good conditions anymore, the bad chair? Would you be?
Maybe by sitting on the bad chair first, then you are actually exchange you let the good chair to others.
You will be able to do so, right? means that you can take the bad chair and then you let other person to sit on the good chair, right?
I'm just answering the question only.
Oh yeah.
I might not be able to do so.
Ini dia lain kaya macam je mah, tu ini dia susu cetu mah, dia cetu mah ini dia maris, ini pernah cakap di kasa, tambo ini dia kukia dia yapo mimba dia ini dia tambo dia show aina, ini dia yapo kukia yapo dia ini ni sedah show dah pun ini dia show dia lain kaya je dia ini ngan cetu mah ini dia sih mis.
Tapi kalau tadi je lo deh, coba tadi ni lo je ko tadi je lo tu lah. Kuasa je lo deh, tata cawe orang tu lah. Maksudnya, tadi je sewa. Tadi je sewa, tapi lo ni kuasa je lah. Tapi je bayi lo ni kuasa tata je tu lah. Itu lah itu lah.
Yeah, so the question I asked actually links to exchange the perspective of the mind. I say to cherish others and cherish others and neglect oneself. So it actually links to these questions. So to see whether one can practice or not. Dia orang marah je lah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So do you think that this example, that the questions I asked just now regarding chairs, so does it illustrate the exchanging the perspective of the mind?
Yes.
Jadi saya kisah lah. Tunggu kosa dia di segi orang sah.
是
笑。
当然啊。当然是大家这个爱的上是呢，那这边国家呀，他们现在的话下地区，是多这个地方呢，这些结果是有了吧？让呀都有了。那老的大国家接了不多。那这东西，那常常了把家了吧？
Yeah, so I also agree that this example that I mentioned just now, like by taking the bad chair, by taking the bad chair and then you let others to sit on the good chair. So this does illustrate the point of exchanging the perspective of the mind. So then you can also apply this understanding to other examples.
但我是他们搞的全部都这个大把机会有的，我说的看了这个呢，不了看了呀，这看了多少稍微有了，你结果的他们是吧？他们这我讲的，大家呢这个了的，就是被学不了是吧？
Yeah, so also those parents and especially those kind parents and especially like mothers, the precious mother, they always keep good food to their children and to the family, and then their own eat the bad quality one. So this is also an example of exchanging oneself with others.
那刚才大家说嘛了。大一几万公办的干大罗啊？
第开始提瓦的有嘞，你第开始讲说第差的，
主要有的是什么？
第提瓦的积累上，开始讲说差的，开始明显的当有了，差东亚的，现在偏的不，现在偏的嘛嘞，也金巴起啊，差金巴起啊，差金巴当亚的。Does it generate good karma? Is it a form of exchanging one's? Yeah. Any dia le sambo. Give le de sagi reves. Any dia da sinyam ji ge di chenxi nas.
Da de cha jimba ta de pe lo ko sa jis na di se kali ya sa tin. Pa jimba ta ko pe ya bu yuan che ta. Kashi jimba ta de ko ngara pe cha da jimba ta ngara su bu ya se u ya bu cha de.
Kulung la le ge reve.
Ndi yoro wa. Da ji lo ko sa jis wa de pe su su de da pa yu ni mi xian da de da du ya de pa zuo su ni. 对吧？对了吧？对呀，你这样差异不大的，呀，说被刚才前两天，你刚才前两天，俺那是不最重的重伤，你当下吧呢？呀，这大一呢就了，我是建议发展到不来噻的，是吧？没事的话，你喜欢呢？ 다 나라베 차지 바탕에 콜로 빙을 때 나라 수고 야보 차를 비우차이 드리스타마야 이지 칼 괜찮아 좀 돼.
니가 야보용 니가 야보용 와이나 이제라
니가 야보는 용우도 그 상호대 배소소랑 게 된다지 좀 수우도 나라베 야보 바차 니바 바탕아잖아
차사월리야 돼. Yeah, so there is a questions from the chat which I've noticed just now. So blood donations, then it also depends on the motivations as well. The blood donor. So it also depends on the motivations of blood donors. So if the motivations these blood donors has is to benefit others. So even if oneself will face some difficulties of donating blood to others, so I will embrace the hardship. Then, in order to help others or to benefit others, then this does as it becomes an example of exchanging oneself with others. So if one has the motivations of by donating my old blood to others, then my body will generate the fresh blood or something, or new blood, fresh blood. Then such motivations. It could hardly become an example of, with such motivations, it could hardly become an example of exchanging oneself with others. Yeah, so don't you agree with me? So it depends on your mental strength, and also depends on your motivations as well. So if you think only about benefiting others, even if I have to face some difficulties of donating my blood to others, so however, I will embrace it. Then with such altruistic motivations, then it does become an example of exchanging oneself with others. So and on the contrary, if you think that I will have a better health, or my body is stronger by donating my old blood to others, then the second case could hardly become the example. Do you have any other question? You can either unmute yourself. It will be quicker. Yeah.
Geshe-la, this regarding blood donation, yes, motivation is a very good thing to start out with for blood donation, but it also depends on circumstances or in places where the blood itself is commodified. They mean that if that blood product is taken, that substance as a product that you can buy and sell. Like in some country, they encourage people to donate by giving them money. But in other country, it's all volunteer. You donate, no money involved, nothing. It's all come from your good heart and motivation. So that is one part. Whereas another part, as I say, for those people who need the money, well, they go and donate because it's part of the buying and selling thing. And also that also tell on the rich will get the product, the poor won't get it then. So there's the both side of the coin, Geshe-la.
Yeah, ni yang kulung la lagi roi la ni kulung dia apa yo na ni dia charge bata dia yang dasin yang je ko sa jia dia charge ro di censi dia charge ini yang samsam la yang lomba kashi ge ni charge dia yang di jala da wo ni di zong yo le sa kai yang lomba kashi ge yang kaza yo ya yo le zong ya yo le sa ini yang kaza kashi yang ngu ra ge che du ini yang cha di zong yo ro yang mi kyobo jabo ina ni kongsu cha din yo tui marwa yang kasa kunlong da ni yang kasa samsang la ne dang din de yang legi ro ne chu din legi ro din di na
o re din ne re shi de
je cha zong de da kasa
je zong ya de la tang so da ji nan ji lo ko sa ji as na physically yo sarwa这所说呀，本就切的从到为上过了，从到为的是吧？ That's also true. I miss what I found. Rana Yawato, she Japan is no cause that Joe the social Jurana, Jura, she Kesson Raga Shagura, was a Dahi Jeswan. That did some of the Jura give me Kesson sounds so that
Yes. Yeah, so how's it the second example, how's it the circumstances or conditions that you mentioned just now, like blood is like a product that you can buy and sell. So then that could hardly become an example of exchanging the perspective of the mind, or it could hardly become the example of exchanging oneself with others, because exchanging oneself with others, it talks about neglecting oneself and cherishing others, right? So if you sell the blood with thinking about say oneself getting the money or getting the profits of selling it, then it doesn't concord. It's not concordant with this mind exchanging oneself with others, right? Because it's cherishing others and neglecting oneself, right? So if you sell your blood thinking of out of concern for oneself, then it doesn't gel.
Thank you.
Dahi Jeswa that was a person to her, she Kesson, dear. The lot of the was a joke. And that is also Kesson Raya.
Yeah, so because exchanging oneself with others is more like oneself, bearing the loss. Bearing the loss and others gaining the profit. So if you sell it out of concern for oneself, then it is the opposite of it.
Thank you. Okay, any question?
Aku simple tenan mon chare.
That general me pa do I tangi. Nazo also the mini Jobuji Nina that Roa Kasahana Kala Nyam Sabuena. That Kala Yawa the Yawa to the do what you need Levaina. That's also the Lansape Yawa the Korachan is that do the Naran Salis. Sina doing also Dagi Jerry. Look. So
then I asking you another questions. So there are two persons. So yourself and with another friend. So both of you go to a restaurant. Then then you order food, and the same food come, and one is the good one, another one is not. Another one is bad one. So one is good food, another one is bad food. So literally. So would you immediately think that the good food is yours and the bad food is mine? So if you immediately think that the good food is yours and the bad food is mine, so do you think that this is an example of exchanging the perspective of the mind that cherishes oneself and the mind that neglects others? To generate is the mind that cherishes others and the mind that neglects oneself. Do you think this example is the example of this, changing oneself with others?
The Kashi Janet was a young answer, late two or some other. This was done the Kashi Janet to the answer.
Yeah. So I see from your videos, I mean, some of you seems like going to going to answer the questions, but you're remain silent, kind of still not giving me the answer.
Keshla, allow me to answer the question. Of course, with the mind cherishing others, you should take the food, the bad food for yourself, and give the good food to your friend. But in the society that we live in the restaurants, if the bad food comes, we can always return it to the kitchen, ask them to give you a good food again. It's the restaurant's fault, not your friend's fault, not your fault.
Yeah, kanzu ngatu tanda ye lumba jawo na di kasan kising di kala tuja jille wa na ini ngzu diang so ini sawo mai kan is na de kala tuja de ni yang sagala pa de ni yang di kala ya po ji le wa na di re sa
마사 계속 사실 들지는 무슨 누가 yapın 이때 시작을 넣어서 사카질레데 칼라시 메조 사실 동바질레 칼라니네스나 진노나 티스나 부 친구네 진네 시대 마 친구 야고 나 친구야 친구네 진나 마 친구들 칼라 된다 지바 이발라 진짜 지바 이발라 진짜 티스나 부 친구네 진네 시대 마 친구 야고 나 지나 Imagine
that you are in the conditions that how say this there are only 2 plates of food that how say you cannot return and ask for another one, and one is the bad one is how say badly burned already, the black already, and another one is it's cooked just nice. So yeah, what do you think? Yeah, so there is no 3rd plates of food that you can return and ask for a new one that you can exchange.
Yeah. So
if you are in Malaysia, then we can ask for a new one, right? However, if we are in a very secluded place, then I mean the food is scarce, right?
I think in terms of the attitude, aspiring attitude, I should take the food which is the bad one and give my friend the good one, but I'm not there yet. Probably will.
Some tang na tang mo de so ina de kala de tu de sa da ni de kala ya po de ni mi sin da dia is ine juba de to ne shi wa ina de ta de che tu ni this.
So Jaya, let's just share the food. The third option, no, there is a technically right answer, and there is the practical side.
So the third option is sharing the food. It seems like is an example of equalizing oneself with others, right? You're meditating on the equality of oneself with others.
Yeah, because as Jaya said, we are not there yet, so we can only neutralize it,
equalize it, right? Yeah. So
yes.
Then sharing this food, it seems like it's not exchanging. Yeah, it's equalizing the part of equalizing, oneself with others. Jesus. Yeah, so this exchanging oneself with others. So wherever I say in this society that we live in, then I say with the resources that we have, then it's also kind of interesting to check how many times that we can practice this exchanging oneself with others. Yeah, also some of us maybe can tell from experience, right? When we attend His Holiness Lama teachings, especially those very super crowded one, then we chop our seat, then we claim that place as my seat, and others cannot sit at that place. So yeah, so it's also we can tell from our experience.
That's teaching sound jelly as a Gemal in the Delanazo, only a this cherry, only a coloma teach cherry, that on the Dagi, not no giant, so kitchen, that only the only the did the German Gemal in the Delanazo, only a coloma teach cherry. Did the only a coloma didn't make it. Well, that was a torture. What the Dagina just or the period chamber the pay, never change should be raised. The house is all in the Remodo. Dagina Gilote. That change will say the Julia Joala, Jundu Manga, the Mahit and Jim Madi Johnson, the Dagina didn't know they never did Magna chance to get too much. Jundu Manga did my lord John, the Johnson, the Dagina didn't know never enough.
Yeah. So this equalizing oneself and exchanging oneself with others, Yeah, so in fact, it is a practice of Tonglen. Tonglen is a practice of giving and taking. So therefore, since it's related, next class I'm going to talk about or teach about Tonglen, practice of giving and taking. So how's it due to the importance and how beneficial it is, this equalizing and exchanging oneself with others is. So even as we have gone through the 7 cause and effect, right? The instructions on 7 cause and effect, the first instructions that we talk about. So if we do not conjoin the instructions of 7 cause and effect with the second instructions, which is equalizing and exchanging oneself with others, we cannot generate the bodhicitta in one's mind stream. So bodhicitta cannot be generated in one's mind stream if we do not conjoin equalizing and exchanging oneself with others.
nipa chebu garu gura ya daji naji lotre nipa cheju ya tambo ni rapa chunju ni majana ta hajan kale ka yorwa wo dili soza tepe shenji lu de pe rang lu na shi te ban je rang lu de pa to de da so hajan nipa chebu kale sarwa wo dili soza da nga ji chunju kala ya je ba mi bashin kala pe sha de dirwa tambo nga sa rapa so dirwa sul kallo ya kumba jani ya ndo kala de pe hajan
Yeah, so the example that I mentioned just now for exchanging oneself with others, then I talk about food and I talk about food and chairs, right? So those are a very coarse example and something, something very small that we can start with. So, for example, food, clothes, etc. So it depends on the strength of this mind as well. So mind of exchanging oneself with others. So it depends on the strength of this mind as well. So we have to practice gradually. Start with small things, food, clothes, etc. Then slowly we increase the strength of this mind to houses, to bodies and etc. Because when we talk about houses, when we talk about bodies, then exchanging this with others, then it requires a strong, a powerful strength of mind. So we have to practice gradually. Start with those small things like food and clothes.
덴디기페 다 칼라야 제보다 둘로야 제보다 덴디지페 참말베 소소빌로 장우디 데페 니미데 디스 상당 다 한다 다시 모두신 받다 진지 비법인지 고 희진지 피조 탕지지 고 다딜람디 거래 희진지 피조바 탕지지 고다 진지데 비법인지 고 오다 데리 상식당어디 예 소소기페 다 내가 충중 지나야 베 다지난지 일로데야 공부치 장우다 어디 소소가 찍었지 다 들으니 다 칼라야는다 내가 야니나 니 주바이나 나라도 무슨 야지 코로나 무슨 배워이나 되는 장주기세 길에지야게 명아지 마사바 차도 무사상다시 장주기세 길에지야라 명아닌 상으로서 같이 쉬이봐 지데 명아지의 근저 명아지의 다게나지 로자지 이봐 명아니 예바 상으로 와 어디 어다 들으니 소소 가는 충분히야 그래서 공부하지 예 소소 디소지 되는 용으로 와
Yeah, so this practice of exchanging oneself with others, this practice of exchanging oneself with others. So we ourselves have to practice. So we have to put it into practice, and we have to check whether we are how's our behavior and our attitudes accords with such instructions or not. So start with small thing like food and clothes that I mentioned just now, right? So by thinking about the benefits and faults of exchanging and not exchanging oneself with others. So just now, the summary of the summary in the outline of exchanging oneself with others, the benefits and faults of exchanging and not exchanging oneself with others. Then the summary is self-cherishing is the door to all torments or the door to all degenerations, and cherishing others is the door to all excellences or all excellence, right? So by thinking about this, then we practice, then we check ourselves whether our attitudes and our behavior accords with that instructions. So so whether the bodhicitta arises in our minds or not, it depends on whether we have these two instructions, we generate we practice these two instructions or not. And these two instructions must be together. Must be together. So so if we practice accordingly, then starting with the small one, then definitely we will see the changes or the transformations in our mind.
But deal with the program, so Javada in a bus knowledge in a kucha, Yale Chiba Mamboyota. Bus knowledge in the pay, easy hour of an Shinda Pati, so what Ma Devada. That is some other answer, Chanju say you are in Nagada. This is some of that. So also Kala Sada for the Chanju say you are in Naga Legure, and Rotan Katune, Legure, Yadan Pone Legure, that is some other Chan. When the summer Yapo, Yana, some Tambana, Chanju say Yana, other Legurda. What is summer? That also not Chanju say you in Nagas, Chamboji Kawa, the Tarimboji, Ya, Inji Miji Chamboyaji, some of the Likisha Marwa. Or that did the Rodan, Dedan, Satan Chanza, Chanju say you in Naga Legurda. This is some.
Yeah, so also in India, so if we sit in the bus, then their seats, they are very good in good conditions, and their seats are in bad conditions. And similarly, when we go, when we eat food and when we sit down and when we walk, etc., or move around, so all are the circumstances in which we can practice the instructions on generating bodhicittas in one's mind. So otherwise, if we when we talk about these instructions of exchanging oneself with others, we always think about this to be a very big things, something very far we cannot reach, etc. However, in everyday's conditions, in many conditions and many occasions, in fact, in which we can practice these such instructions.
But the hero, Chadu say you're in another class, I told it, that a legal or the Jaji Tuwaina, Karina Chanzanga to Lineary, Doa. But that day also, Yanis order, Church and Yanis order, Dona Yanichia, Dena Yanichia, Sana Yanichia, Puna Yanichia. That is a Chanza Yoda. That is a Chinamushis and Doa.
So what I'm trying to say is, practice Dharma. So Dharma practice or practicing Dharma exists. We can practice Dharma when we eat food, when we drink, when we walk around, and etc. So this I have mentioned many times already.
So Lanzo Yabo Jabada base, Nijibo Chada, Supo Chapo Chada, Top Jada, the Nijibola Sanota, Kalachi Chumbosa, Chichumbotuya, the Chibaina, then also Soso Pe, so Konachima, the Churchill can do. That Kanda Soso report Top Jia, Nibajia, the Nijipe, me Saudi. That in this side, the Kunde, we support the Yabo, Nibachimbo, Top Chimbo, Chuchimbo Yabo is so good. Karichin resna ni sendla pe lead pe tawajin jopache sa lead chebaje pesa yapu chubiji dere ndela ni pe chudwe gochia chiro ni support yapu sogin support yapu jimela ni chudwe ni ba thongmodo e kantina ni chanju senjo ni nanga kan thola ina kanda ni ba de modo tende to sogin ni ba che chedo ne saya shimbo jina tonya yapu jina ina o de ju yapu sa ba ina tende ji samu ji tang to ba ina 去了我有的，我说 취취하게 배 상지가 레고요. 디바랑 보고요 말.
Yeah, so when we eat food, so if we only think about to increase my body strength or to increase my youth, to make me look very young, to make me look muscular, or make me just to have a good body. So if we only think about this, then it will not. These actions of eating food will not turn into a dharma. So in fact, it will only turn into a worldly activities. So in order to make eating food a dharma practice, or make it turn into a dharma practice, or make it become a dharma practice, then we have to think about not just to increase my body strength or to make my body healthy, etc. So for what purpose am I making my body fit or powerful? Is to practice dharma, because this body that I have obtained is endowed with eight freedoms and 10 endowments. Yeah, it is with 8 freedoms and 10 endowments. So, and these precious, I want to use this precious human body to practice dharma. If I do not have any bodily strength, then I cannot practice the instructions to generate bodhicitta, etc. So for such purpose, I eat food. Then the actions of eating food will become a dharma.
칼라 여보사 어디서 들리지 상황 따와이나 먼저 주시는 거야 지 된다 리고요다 그러와 너지 다가서 거 리셋에 대한 너무
Yeah, so it's very important when we eat food, then so that we can have a strong body or powerful body in order to achieve in order to practice dharma, in order to practice according to the instructions of bodhicitta. Then eating food, doing exercises and etc. So basically, if we have this in our mind, this attitude or these motivations in our mind, then those activities will become a dharma. It will become a dharma.
사야 동야 가리기는 로도 데이터 강가고 취쇼 샤와라 로트야지 이거요 와 이거 아무도 데 많이 받대 맞아 이제 하나 지금 상담하는데 이거 취쇼 수밖에 리고 말와
Yeah, so if we do so with those attitudes, it will become dharma activities. So, and many teachers and many teachers, and they always mentions that if we know how to practice, then even we can turn our eating food, drinking water into dharma activities.
예, 쇼갈 exercise 주나 두 상황 도시로 야부시여스 거로 쇼갈 주셜 exercise
Yeah, so similar if we go for our morning exercise, then if we have this attitude in our mind, then yeah, this will be very good, right?
야, 이 상황 따라 취지 제거면 지마 잘 그러와.
Yeah. Yeah, so if we have this in our mind, then we also have to practice accordingly, right? Otherwise, then it will become a lie, right?
Can I clarify a couple of things? Huh? Can hear me? Can
hear.
Yeah. Number one is actually is more of a clarification point. When we talk about exchanging self for others, is that a secret practice, or because I'm thinking of that food thing, right? That taking on the bad food and giving good food to others. In terms of, I mean, when you do that, actually the other person wouldn't take it as well, right? So in terms of skillful means, I thought it was a secret practice, this exchanging self for others, cherishing others, but not in an overt way, obvious way. So that's my question number 1 lah. Just to clarify, is it a secret practice, this exchanging self for others? Number 2 is a question of, in terms of cherishing others, what happens if, let's say, for example, somebody comes to you and asks for your company and all that, but you are busy doing your Dharma practices, or you are busy, you want to attend teachings, right? If you talk about cherishing others, then it would be kind of making the other person happy. You know, like if you wanted company and you go for company, you know, you would like to have the company, right? So similarly, if somebody comes to you, asks you for company, and yet you don't have time because you're doing Dharma practice, I mean, how do you handle that? You know, just to ask Geshe-la for clarification in terms of this. If it clashes with your Dharma study, practice, reflection, what do you do? Or what should you do? Thank you.
다시 잠지 나디 가상아 저 냠린 데 상와게 냠린 데 치당 요나스 베나체샤나 데 칼라 강긴데 야 가자 레니에 데 니가 요와 야보당 두제 니가 요바체 이네 가서 양 수수이나 디 칼라 두제 데사 애니 칼라 야보데 미시나 데와이나 애니 미시나 이네 디 가자 켈린 치 마로와 망치오 양디 지지나 디 칼라 야보데 지보데안 사기 인기 말이 이네 가서 양 다시 냠지 데 냠낸 지야라 갑디나 데 가자 다시 냠지게 냠낸 지당 상화된데 간데지 요나사 이 지와 담보디래
다 담보 도 담보를 버티는 지로와
맞아
다데 상화데 빼 샤바이나 다 다시 칼라가로 빼 샤지는 디고르시다 그러와 다 사하는 돈이 다기 나지 노로 공부 치는 내죠 근데 취취 자원 제마 중에 다 사하지는 미 지대 소소의 미안도니 뭐마시바이나 간다 칼라미 지대 빼 칼라 야고 쉬고시 지대 빼 칼라 타셔 쉬고시나 다 최소의 지기 냐네 치는 면조 다기 나지 노로 공부 치는 면조시 다 도시도 전화 사고래서 니야 사고래서는 콜랑사 한 돈도 벌어 한 가지 돈도 벌어 니 두알 사고서 저야 사고서는 다 피게 다기 나지 노로 장게지 니바이나 든지 라바이나 인다 인세 랑사 파치 왜래 저로 파치 다기 나지 일로 장내기 지바이나 로아 내레치고 다 다기 나지 일로 니도 모르는 것 같은데 지나 두아도 천하사 니야 사거든 그저 군로랑 투바지야 내가 여러 그 투바지야 내가 든지 니 다기 나지 상황 지고 비제데 니도 모르는 거라 그냥 요마세와데 어따 빼샤바이나 맞아 칼라지를 빼샤나 리고도 와 칼라 두아도 천하사 이 야상나 다기 나주 일로 장조 공부 연주 중이나 인다에서 가와서 또아치를 사거든 내게 지는 선투바지 내가 갈리고 어때 내가 갈리아서 띠도 말해서 오늘도 모르는 대상을 잡아
그래서 이디 가자 냠린 지다 장 가자 데 다시 냠지게 공부 요와이나 이디
너도 지시 다로 사죠 뭐네 내가 하고 있지 칼라 두아도 사거나 이바 시자지 가와 또아치 사죠 다 추노고로 매기지나 뜻을 주버 지금 내가 여러 마도 이 누가 사고 주지 그랬을 거.
Yeah. So regarding your first question, so if we go to a restaurant and we order food, the same food came, and then one is bad, another one is good one. Then if the other person, as our friend, for example, if he or she is a person who who has never practiced exchanging oneself with others, or who never engaged in Dharma practice, for example, then if one says that, if you say that, this food, the bad one I will take, and then the good one you take, then the person must be very happy, right? And I mean, must be very happy, and then you, as a practitioner, then you eat it. So if the person is someone who never practice exchanging oneself with others, and then you say that, the bad one you eat, then the person will immediately fight with you, right? So if you go, it depends on the persons that you go to eat with lah. So if it is a person who has never practiced, or who is not a vessel fitting for the instructions of exchanging oneself with others, then he or she will happily accept it if you offer the good one to him or her.
that could be the Dajina Lord Jan the Chairman of Koran, such a Chupa Majino control as I would control on it. That control on the understand of Majiba Chile, Dichile, Sadres Kanda, Chikatu Chupa Majima, Ajiti, Lord Chimjan Major. And when it's a Dajina to Janzu, not the Niba, a court watching, Gavata watching, where the torture is Saja. Pay our choice. That they cannot tell us, sign of Chivasha Savade, Page Hajan, Judu, knew the Murua is the indigenous book. Kanda ko Saba in a Nanjutin Saba, Yamitsu Tubajiba, Yam Kuno Habiton Saba. That the Indian would go. Or no Kubachil Mena.
Yeah, if the person has no habituations with this practice of exchanging oneself with others, and he or she was offered a bad food, then, and if he or she doesn't fight with you, then either he will eat showing you black face, or he will eat with a very unhappy mind. So if the other person is a person who is a vessel fit for this practice, and he or she also practice the habituations, also habituate themselves with this practice of exchanging oneself with others, then he or she will happily accept it. If he or she were to offer the bad food, he will willingly and happily accept it.
And
the Tiwaniva ini kazang ta xinyam ji zhawo ina di rang yewa dowa tang xin jeba jimba ro ni bena cheshina so ina de 去讲给我的你的去两年前给我的你的做不起来呢kazan di shop bena cheshina di shopping yam du jo de ki je tewa ina ini tanda ni de ta xinyam ji ta ni de两年开始讲过有但是呢我说的去讲给我的 제가 차고 요래 니디 추냐면 제대 요래 미지게 니디 칠로란냠도 조스 데 조버지 질레 와이나 애닝어조 다신냠지데 간데 장고 요
그거는 그걸 성공을 했어. 코냐도 누아라로 바 추첨부 제고야 코 펜토 첨부 눈에 딘도 그랬어. 다코 다가도 장자지 코 소소가 다지나지 뭐 시부지 장튀나 코로 그바 전세면 저 다가지 레드나 예 만들어 너디 아이 그랬어. 야 스스로 다기나지 자다 비게텔라 pen 내가 개체모 스스로 로파 제투야 빼 우에네스 지아포이 차도나 덴도나 다기 제비로 자 스스로 내가 파 유네 이겐도가 개체모 개체모 다 그랬어
스스로게 내가 있는 양디 취자야 다 아니 취자야
스스로 취제 취장되나 이게 개체모 있는 이 신기 저다로와 이때 다기나지 로 양레노 양레 차는 거 봐.
Yeah. So then to your second question, then if a person come and ask for your company, then but you are busy with practice or teachings, for example, then it depends on the purpose of asking you from company. So if the person asks you to accompany him or her to just go shopping or just walk around and then for fun or to play, for example, then you can excuse yourself. So if the purpose of asking you for company is to do something very important to the person, and then it will bring great benefits to the person, and you also have the ability to help the person, then you can you should go and accompany the person and accomplish the work together, because by helping the person itself also is a Dharma practice.
Just add on to that, I mean, if people ask you for your company, underlying is a loneliness, right? So if you look from that perspective, it's always, cherishing others is fulfilling the requirement or fulfilling their wishes, right? So that is where, I think it's a little bit of a gray area, right? When you talk about cherishing others, especially the opportunity cost there is in terms of your own Dharma practice. So you said cherishing doing something for the others is Dharma practice. I totally agree, but it's how you rationalized it in your mind, right? Either way, either action, whether you want to stay on and say, for example, you attend your teachings, or, you know, you are going out to accompany this person. I think there's no black and white, right?
Yang goba de yang kaza kejang ji chowa de yoro nga chibu yin chibu ge chowa de yoro ani yang di kaza di chetu ani di chilola aya chilola nyam de jo de kiza tiwa ina yang kade ji ina kan sin na zo de xian jeba jin ha de yang xian ge jewa ya na de samba gong ya ge jewa gong ya ge de dunda de yoro tak ba 衔接吧金巴的，那样衔接着哇大把工呀，给团大的有的哇，
di mari zawar mari da chongal nge paro paji nga nyase ka dong sine di ke inda pa kwa ku de pa ko na ko nyase ko nyang di zawar ne mari di goba gise ta gores di goba ta gore ni ko ya mari sto shin de ba ko da chida pe lebi cha kan de pe so so bi chora ne shela pa ya po cha pe lega ina pe shawa zambo chila dendi ji sang jere ma do pe nga de ba ko nga nyase lu ko choro pa chiga choro pa ma nga nyase tu mu de nyara go mu de sina de lo tu ma ra ji
이냥 개장다고 이 초와
de ko kejang le na ro jera ko ro kejang di ba sa no de so so di jo se de chawa di bi jo go cha di bi jo go cha
개장기 체도 아니 대학 가서 아니 지출라
de di jo lo di jo lo ma so kejang ina ko da ko pe gube geze jeme je tagase kejang ina ko so le nenga ina chi ta ya re o de ni ke mena kejang ina di so de ba khang ya ke gube geze ta na so so che du message chu ma ina de gube che ro wa de zang ta ya ma se kon de ba ka zang ta ma de ba ka ya de ge shawa ti le le bi ti le no le ba je ge ta go de ba ka ya chi bo sa ta ba ina ko nya se ya pe pi sho ga ba ina nya se kuna ko nya se ma ta de ba ma khang ji na che ro pa ro go se na de lo tu ma wa se kon de ba ka tu ma ra de
Yeah, so in fact, the meaning of cherishing others is not always fulfilling the wishes of others, and it also depends on how say the wishes of others, whether it is virtuous or not. So if the wishes of others is virtuous, then ask for your help or company. Then how say you should go and help the persons. So if the wishes of others is to kill fish or to do fishing together, then since it's not a virtuous activities, then you shouldn't go and accompany the persons. So it also depends on whether the wishes of others is virtuous or not. Then you go and help them. So cherishing others is not always fulfilling the wishes of others. And loneliness that you mentioned, it also depends on situations. So if the person is just, sometimes it's just feeling lonely without any specific reasons, and then ask for your company, then this while you are practicing Dharma or attending Dharma teachings, and then the person asking you for company, then it will that makes the person becomes a non-virtuous friend. So however, if the person is is lonely, and then there is a danger to his life already, like for example some mental problems or something, then because of loneliness, then there is a risk or danger to his life already, then you should go and help the person. Yeah. So also, in relation to Tantra vows, so one shouldn't reveal the teachings of emptiness to a person who is an improper vessel for such teaching. So if you were to reveal it, then it will cause a downfalls to your vows. So these also similarly apply to a person who is improper vessel for the instructions of bodhicitta as well. Yeah, so the example that I mentioned just now, like food and clothes, etc., is a very coarse example of small things that we can start with, and also to make us understand how to practice it as well at the very beginning. So it also depends on each occasions as well. Sometimes whatever actions that we do when we are in that occasions, and then we have to measure ourselves whether we are bearing the loss or we are enduring the hardships for a greater goods or not. Greater goods also related to the virtuous activities that I mentioned just now. So if it is for greater good, others are gaining the benefits, then you should you can practice that.
Oh, thank you. This stop here.
So yeah, if you have any question, then please ask in next class. So I'll stop here. We conclude with dedication. We dedicate the roots of virtue accumulated, especially through these Dharma discussions, may be a complete cause for Buddha Dharma to spread to all 10 directions and for all sentient beings to experience excellent happiness. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of the Buddha's teachings, presented by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and also our beloved Kyosho Lama Sopo Rinpoche, and may they live eons long, excellent health, and may their enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread to all 10 directions. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to the world peace, and may excellent happiness prevail the world. May the world be free from wars, conflicts, and disasters. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue. May wars, conflicts, and pandemic and disasters be pacified immediately. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who pass away, and also those who are suffering right now due to wars, conflicts, pandemic, disasters. So may their negativities be pacified immediately, and may they quickly achieve the state of enlightenment.
Dāgī chūnyē sādhī
Gīwā tī tēntāng dōwā kūnā kāmbē nā gīwā jīsū lōsāng dāwā yī tēmbē nīmbō rīntō sē jē shō jāchū sēm chō rīmbō jē mā kē pā nā jī yu jī kē bā nyambā mē bā yā kōndō pē wā shō jāng pē pā wē jī tā kēm bā tāng kūndō sāmbō tē yāng tē shīn tē tē tā kūng kē jē sō tā lō jē kē wā tē tā tam jē rāb tō ngō rīmbō jē mā kē pā nā kē kū jī kē bā nyambā mē bā yā kōndē kōndō pē wā shō rīm nye tā wā rīmbō je ma je pa na ki gyu chi me ba yang ko ne kong do be wa shu jam je jam ye ge we den si kyong be we kun su do po se chu sun ku we le men du chu ba ta so du je kun do sha de shu sun do ju be lang chi je se se kang chen den yu gen chan na be mo den jing ge so la so wa de so shen de le do shu ben de ma le ba kang le jung we sam be shin no ka den so me den jing ge so la so wa de so du je le do shu ka ne ro we ko we shin kang de为你今日是我真正的主意，下边时间不度天有情。